Well, hello again. This is the COM 101 85N course, and these are going to be your critiques of your persuasive speeches. And we get some comments from time to time about overkill, and I'll just say that our first speaker did not submit a speech, and as a result, I have only to say that clip, I have no speech from you, and no notes, no nothing. Next up is Pumpkin. Pumpkin, a lot of things. You're shooting up and in. It's the wrong shot. You have a lot of vocalized pauses. You need to stand still when you speak. You need to keep your hands still. You had a good overview of what it was you were talking about. You have a study done by who? Don't say in terms of credibility. You can't say a study done, or in a study done, they discovered this. Who did the study? When did they do the study? Credibility of sources is absolutely crucial. And what's their expertise? And when was the study published? And you need to make sure you don't get lost in your own speech. Sometimes I can't read my own writing, and that's the reason I do it, but you got to be careful of that. 50% daily cost of prison. Where did you get that number? You can't say those things without giving some kind of a reason where you got it and why you're using it. Cite sources. You have, according to Cato. Who or what is Cato, and why are you quoting them, and when did they do it, etc. When you change your slides, don't sound surprised by what you see next. You got to be really careful about that. Don't change the visual and say, oh yeah, that's the surprise thing. You had a very abrupt, anticlimactic ending. End your speech strong. Too many unsubstantiated facts. No source citations. At least complete, a citation source from start to finish. Good job on your credibility. Your outlines are not labeled, and your speaking line or your preparation outline. Now, I've said this so many times, and I know people get tired of hearing it, so I'm not really going to discuss it anymore. But see this, an inch or two above the head, bust line. That's it. The only shot I ever want to see in any of your speeches. Many of you have lost incredible points because you didn't do that. Some of you, for the first time, have started to sit down. A couple of you continue to sit down, and I have said, don't ever sit while you're giving a speech unless you have an ADA reason to do so. All right, next up is middle, and your speaking outlines are not labeled. You're shooting up and into two lights. I can't tell if your eyes are open because of the camera's iris down because you're shooting into lights. You have something about Dr. Paul Offit and quote, but why are you quoting him, and what is it about him, and et cetera, et cetera. Keep the flow going. What is NMR? If you say something like that, you got to tell us what it is. What is shot life? You got to tell us what that is when you use those kinds of situations. And your outlines are not labeled, and they're not in the proper form. Review your outline form. Your reasoning and your approach on this speech was very persuasive. All right, next up is Rock. Prep and speaking outlines are good, albeit short. You have good visuals, but you contain bad logic in your visuals. Wrong camera shot and wrong composition. Watch the clearing of the throat. And why are you holding a computer? We've talked about that. Never, but never, but never point something really bright at the camera. The camera will iris down, and I lose all contrast on your face, and I can't tell if your eyes are open or not. Eye contact is hard to tell. Excuse yourself. If you like that, excuse yourself. Don't be talking and then just keep on going without saying something or excuse yourself. If you know you do that when you speak, have a glass of water nearby. Do it that way. and then don't be afraid to take a sip of water and say, "Excuse me, it's rough throat," and go on with where you were. All right, the next person I have no fantasy name for, so it's no use even talking about it because they won't know. Next person is Cookie, and we have the wrong shot. Don't get lost in your own speech. It's like sometimes you don't know where you're going next, and then as you're going there, it's like, oh, it's a little bit of surprise, and you're not sure how to handle the changeover, the transitions. Be real careful. It's hard to see your facial expressions because of your camera shot. Your points are hard to follow at times. At times you sound totally detached from your speech. You have a tendency to be monotone in presentation. You have a 2005 article about what, where, when, how, why, where did it appear? Quoting as a source citation, a 2005 article will never make it. I can't see the video, so why did you play with the video in the first place? Remember, you're supposed to keep this shot only, and then send me a copy of the videos. Don't have the videos in the background or in the shot because, again, the camera will iris down on the brightest thing it sees. Your purpose and conclusion from your video was not supported in the short time it was viewed. In a 2015 article, where? Who are the authors? What is their expertise? That's what you said in a 2015 article. Your camera has a soft focus, and you didn't submit the visuals for me to deal with. Next up is Noodle. You have your Survey Monkey has spelling and grammar errors in it. By the way, a fair number of you did not even submit the Survey Monkey, and some of you did, but it was so hard to read and so many errors in it. And then to give a speech which only has 2 people in a survey and conclude anything, and then some of you never even included the Survey Monkey in your speech, which you need to read the directions on the speech because that was one of the things in the rubric that you're being graded on, is how you use that. All right, PowerPoint print is too small to read. There's too much writing on your PowerPoints. You cited a 1998 fact as recency in the information you were giving. 1998 and 2017 are not recent. You have lots of problems with your PowerPoint. You have the wrong shot. I can't see your face. Your computer screen is facing the camera, and it's irising, as I've said a dozen times. You have 7 in your audience, only 2 in your survey. You in your speech, you say, in my survey, most of you don't think. 2 don't think. Could be 1 and 1 don't think. Stand still. You keep turning from the camera. You spend too much time reading your computer screen, looking away from the camera, and when you do that, you get lost when you turn back around. You have a lot of vocalized pauses with the and you had an extremely weak ending to your speech. This is a persuasive speech. It should be a dynamite ending. Next up, we have no video, and if you submitted a video, please check. I know in one situation, and if I can find the name real fast, I will tell you who it is because I think it's important. I believe it was Ryan Searles. Other people somehow have posted videos to your spot. Your stuff is not there. So see what you can find out about that. So this one has no video. The next one has no video. Next up is Pizza. Pizza, you had a very weak Survey Monkey. You only had 2 people in your survey. Many grammar and sentence construction errors. Your prep outline was not labeled. and you had grammar errors in your outline, format errors also. Your speaking outline is not labeled. Your visuals, 2001 to 2011, no U.S. citizens killed by guns in terrorism. Really? Really? 2001 to 2011? The slide does not show what is labeled to show. Very weak and outdated visuals. You also touch your face too much while you're speaking. You seem to be reading every thing that you have without ever looking at the camera. According to the BBC News, that's a source. When? Where? According to the BBC News? And by the way, if you're doing stuff about American, why are we dealing with quotes from foreign journalism? Let's kind of see what they say in America about this stuff. It was hard to understand you. You get lost in your own speech. It was very hard to follow your points. The composition was too loose. That's the shot. Remember this? We talked about it. Keep on saying that. The guns were guns or other weapons in I can't read my own writing. You repeat yourself a lot. You have a good topic, but it lacks some smoothing out. Separate your facts. That's hard to tell where your transition from one point to another point is happening. And in your final points, didn't flow very well in your speech. Next up is Porter. Grammar and spelling errors in your PowerPoints. Source citation incomplete. Extremely overly wordy on your PowerPoints. Your preparation outline did not follow outline rules. Your speaking outline seriously short on points to be made in your speech. When the results of your SurveyMonkey and your where are the results of your SurveyMonkey and your summary paragraph, the camera moving not on a tripod, too much movement. I mean, I was just all the time it's moving and it's driving me nuts to try to concentrate on what you're saying. And it's not supposed to be. We've said that millions of times. How about that for an exaggeration? With your first PowerPoint slide, I heard a loud click on the camera, and now I can't see the words, or now I can see the words on the screen because you changed something about the visual part, cut down on the light that was coming from the TV screen, which was keeping me from being able to see your face clearly. But now your face is too dark and the words on the screen are too small to read anyhow. It looks like you speak too much to the TV screen. You are reading too much and you're not looking at the camera when you're doing it. You're looking away, and there goes your audio also. Far too much camera movement. The concept of the speech is solid. The execution is extremely problematic. Can only see 5 people in your audience. Wrong way to show the audience. You have the skeleton of a solid persuasive speech, but many, many problems with the outcomes as you express them. Next up is Diamond. And Diamond, you have speaking outline is okay. Your preparation outline is not labeled. Also in the wrong format. Hard to understand a great deal of the things that you're trying to say. You repeat yourself frequently. To get volume needed to hear you, you need to get volume needed to hear you because the room noise is extremely amplified. Students, suddenly at 4:25, a bright light appears. This is really disturbing. A bright light appeared over here in the lower right-hand corner, right in here, of the picture. I have no idea where it's coming from, and it seemed to start down here. It's kind of like a torch. Get my finger going the right way. And all of a sudden it started coming up and up and up and up and up. It got brighter and brighter. And as it got brighter, your face got darker to the point where I couldn't even see you anymore. So take a look at your speech. By the way, you're all supposed to look at these before you send them to me, and you should see some of this. Next up is Georgie. Georgie, your preparation outline, your speech outline. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is your preparation outline was for this speech. Your speech outline was for I'm guessing, a process speech. You should have noticed that. Apparently you didn't. Your sources do not establish why they are worth airing. You're sitting while speaking. Told you in the past, never sit while you're speaking. Your facial expression indicates as though you're some kind of an inside joke is going on. You're smiling about stuff that's not funny. And it's like, why are you doing it that way? You get lost in your own speech. You fail to acknowledge that the problem that you're talking about is an addiction. And like any other addiction, it's not just something that you can walk away from and say, okay, I'm cured. And where is the source for the $113 billion comment that you made in your speech? That's a lot of money. You need to have a source for that. Your style lacks an adherence to rules of public speaking. It is lacking in a persuasive quality. Your style is more like a sermon in church. And you said you can't buy nothing. You mean nothing? Please be careful about that. You can't buy nothing when you mean nothing. All right, next up is Perry. Make sure that's right. Yeah. All right. And then only a speaking outline is not formatted properly. No preparation outline. Wrong shot with TV in the background. Camera is iris down. Can't see your face. Eye contact or facial expression. Watch the tisk sound. Now, you don't make it often, but you make it enough to be annoying. You did not send a survey or a copy of your survey or visuals. You have too many words on the slides. You got to watch how they do PowerPoints. You don't read the PowerPoint. It complements what you're saying in your speech. So don't say the same thing that's on the slides. You can't read the content because of the print on the slides is so much. And no source citations. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but for all practical purposes, no source citations in the speech. Very, very short on length compared to what it was supposed to be. Next up is no video, no fantasy name. Next up is coffee. And no video. Next up is no fantasy name and no video. Next up is, hang on one second and let me see. Next up is another, I don't have a fantasy name, so not even going to do it. Next up is Fendi. And Fendi, I have a real problem because your video will not appear for me. It says I have no permission. I don't know if you made it public or what. I cannot open it. I've tried every way from Sunday to try to open your speech. I cannot open it. You need to fix that and get back to me really, really quickly, or the grade is a 0. All right, finally is Bear. Bear, your speaking outline is defective. It's too wordy with sentences and paragraphs. Your preparation outline is totally wrong. No survey concluded. No visuals sent to me. I can't see your audience. You are sitting. It's in violation of the standard. You're sitting in front of a kind of a window to your side, which a lot of light is coming in. It's causing your camera and iris down a little bit. Sit still. You're in a chair, and as a result, you're doing one of these things while you're sitting, and that chair swings, and you do that, and guess what? It's annoying. Slow down. Get some energy in your conversation. What's the purpose of the pictures on the monitor behind you? You are swinging in your chair. I just said that. Where are your source citations? You say something about the U.S. National Library of Madison. Madison, what? Where? What is it? Why is it a source? You've got to be specific on sources. As soon as you move out of the frame to see the TV behind you, or to let us see the TV behind you, then suddenly the changes the iris on your camera. Too many assignments, way too fast at the end in terms of how you're speaking, and not the way for me to see visuals. Why were they not animated? You had a thing for animation, wasn't animated. All right. I'm trying to wrap up all of the peer things and find out where they are and get those taken care of. And you have the special tribute speech, special occasion speech. Let's listen to what I said. Now, here's your job. You now must send me email telling me you have viewed this critique for the persuasive videos. If I don't get it from you, then, and I'm not getting them from most people, which could explain why you continue to make the same mistakes. All right, have some fun. Try to get this tribute speech. It's a very special speech. It is a little bit more personal, a little more emotional. Those kinds of things can be more fun depending on what you choose to do. And get that to us by the deadline. All right, talk to you next time.